my name is Ujjwal Dhakal. I study in grade 2. Today I am going to read a storybook titled Flat Stanley Plays Ball, written by Aloud. Let's start now. Stanley Lamchop lived with his mother, his father, and his little brother Arthur. Stanley was 4 feet tall, about a foot wide, and half an inch thick. He had been flat ever since a bulletin board fell on him. Sometimes being flat was a bit tricky. Oops! When he turned sideways, Stanley was hard to spot, and a big gust of wind could sweep Stanley off his feet. Look out! But he never let his flatness get in his way. I'm trying out for the Rounders team, Stanley told Arthur one day. Arthur helped Stanley practice. Stanley hit 1,000 balls. He caught 1,000 catches. Stanley's hard work was rewarded. Congratulations, said Coach Bart. You are on the team. Sports day was bright and busy. The teams ran onto the field. There's Stanley, cried Arthur. Mr. Lamchop snapped a picture. Mrs. Lamchop cheered. Hooray! For the other players too, she added politely. Stanley was the first batter. He stepped up to the batting square, turned sideways and pulled back his bat. Ready! The bowler squinted at Stanley. This guy is so skinny, he said. I can hardly see where to throw. He bowled the ball. No ball, said the umpire. The bowler bowled again. No ball, repeated the umpire, and Stanley ran to the first post. Good job, called Coach Bart. Stanley's team played well. Soon they were winning. Go Team Flash. The other team had one last chance. Their best batter came into bat and blasted the ball into the air. Just then the breeze picked up. Stanley ran and leaped into the wind. Ooh! Off floated Stanley. Got it. Plunk went the ball into his hand. Great catch! Arthur cried. Not everyone agreed. That's not fair, yelled someone in the crowd. Are flat players even allowed? Stanley felt crushed. That night Stanley talked to Arthur. I'm a good player, he said, and not just because I am flat. But how can I prove it? Arthur looked out the window. Then he smiled. I think I know a way. The day of the second game was bright and busy again, but something was different. Stanley gasped. Mrs. Lamchop. Her son was not flat. He was bursting out of his shirt. He is used. Mrs. Lamchop gasped again. My nice clean laundry. A sock stuck out of Stanley's collar. A pink flirty blouse trailed from the leg of his trouser. That's my favorite one, she said. There was no time to worry about the clothes. A batter smacked the ball high into the air. Stanley ran and leaped into the wind. But this time Stanley did not float up, and the ball did not land in his hand. It sailed right over his head. Oh no! Soon it was Stanley's turn to bat. The bowler had no trouble seeing where to bowl now. Good ball, called the umpire. Stanley ran for the first post, but the fielder was too quick. Stanley was out. In the crowd, Arthur gulped. Had he made a terrible mistake helping Stanley unflatten himself? Oh dear! Soon the game was nearly over. The score was tied. Stanley came into bat again. He heard Arthur's voice in the crowd. Come on, Stanley, you can do it. The bowler bowled the ball, and Stanley smashed it. The ball flew miles, but a fielder ran after it. Meanwhile, Stanley tore around the posts. First post, second post, third post. Stanley was headed for the fourth post, but so was the ball. "Stanley slides," shouted Coach Bart. Arthur's heart raced. If Stanley were still flat, he could slide easily under the catcher's hat. But now, Stanley stretched out his arms and dived. There was a swirl of dirt and socks. Then the umpire called in. "Well done, Stanley! Wahoo!" Arthur hollered. Mr. and Mrs. Lamtrap clapped so hard their hands hurt. "That's not fair," yelled someone in the crowd. "Look at the muscles on that kid. Are players that big even allowed?" Stanley grinned. "Not so many socks next time," Mr. Lamtrap called to Stanley. Mrs. Lamtrap looked at Arthur. "And no blouses." "Thank you,"